Christmas came early for the New York Mets and Juan Soto and Mets fans alike. But is this a blessing in disguise for the New York Yankees and their fans? All this and much more on today's 1420 in the morning. Let's get into her.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds where the sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 11th day of December 2024. 2 weeks till Santa comes, I guess. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420SEAT at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all their great articles and other podcasts, such as my guys over there at Crap Brewed Sports Corner Booth that was on last night that I've been on a number of times, and no credentials required, Sports Stove, and on it goes. All those great shows with the Belly Up crew. The nominations are out for the Creator of the Year, which I was very esteemed award, and that I was fortunate enough to win last year, but won't be taking home the hardware or the title this year. That'll go to somebody else. So that's a great, very deserving. A few people have been nominated already. But anyways, and thank you for all those who have follow us and watch the show on a daily basis and listen on where we get your podcast. Did a show with Aaron from Brutally Honest Sports yesterday, and it was a great show. We talked about the Soto thing and had a great conversation, but somehow, some way, I'm not exactly sure, but in the first time in the 4.5-year illustrious history of the 1420 podcast, the show got lost in Never Neverland. I don't know how or where. It might be somewhere in the cloud, I guess. I don't really still know what the cloud actually is at my age of 50, but it might be out there somewhere. But we're trying to we'll find it, get it produced, and get it out there for your listening and viewing pleasure, because it was quite a great conversation that we had yesterday morning at 8 in the morning Mountain Standard Time. And then if you haven't seen the show today with Brian McKeon from the Locked On Yankees podcast, used to be on WFAN as well. We talked about the New York Rangers and the Soto deal, which I'm going to get in now. Well, it was announced on, I guess it was Sunday night, about 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, that Juan Soto got the deal that was everybody kind of knew deep down inside was going to happen no matter what. Soto, $51 million a year, $765 million plus bonuses for 15 years with Steve Cohen and the New York Mets. It was a deal that was pretty much it was going to happen no matter what. It was a deal that it's been 3 or 4 years in the making. When Soto first turned down that $450 million from the Washington Nationals, and then it ended up with the San Diego Padres, and turned down a deal with them to stay with them, and then he was a Yankee for a year. There was never any contract extensions talking at that point, because he's already going to be a free agent at the end of last season, and so it goes. He got $765 million. I think it was $5 million reported more than what the Yankees were offering, and a luxury suite. Apparently, that was the tipping point. Who knows if that is actually true? A lot of stuff gets reported that might not be true, but you throw enough crap in the wall, something's bound to stick. But I kind of believe it, that the luxury suite for $500,000 a season or whatever it was what did the deal. I don't think that's exactly true. $765 million over 15 years, guaranteed, nothing deferred, and on it goes that he got. I'm not being sour grapes Yankee fan at all. I'm not surprised that Soto was going. I wish if he could have been a Yankee, I would have loved to have Soto on the team for this foreseeable future. I think it's a huge overpay for a guy who hits quite well. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm saying he hits quite well. His defense is not that great. I know Yankees. There were some people posting some stuff up on the Twitter machine and wherever else yesterday about the subpar play of Soto in the outfield, but I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. It's not great. It's not nearly as good as Judge, but if you wanted to start putting videos together of people's mishaps in the outfield, Aaron Judge had a big one in Game 5 of the World Series. So you can probably put that on a video reel and keep playing it. It's unfortunate that it got to this point with Soto, but it's been a few years in the making. No matter what, this was going to happen. And I said back when I started this crazy show back in August of 2020 that when Cohen bought the New York Mets, that this changed the face of baseball for the foreseeable future. And this is an awakening for not only the New York Yankees, Yankee fans, but for baseball fans right across the board, that this guy was going to change the face of baseball with his deep pockets. And that's what happened on Sunday night. This guy was going to the Mets no matter what, because Cohen's a fan who wants to win, who's got the deepest pockets in baseball. He's got $14 billion in cash, so this $765 million doesn't even put a dent in what he made. And you think about how much money the Mets make per year, it's not a big deal for him to throw $51 million a year at one guy. Should you throw 51? Is this resources well spent? I don't think so. The Yankees, I don't think they had a choice. They were going to go to a certain point, but I'm happy that they were fiscally responsible to say, you know what, this isn't good enough. This isn't. It's not really worth it. If you can put a worth on $51 million a year and what your return of investment is, I'll get into that half a second. But yesterday, as it got done, they went out and signed Max Fried, pitcher from Atlanta. That's a bit of an overpay for the age, but that's I'm not complaining about that at all. I could care less what an owner pays a year, whether they're buying players and on and goes. That's what it takes to win in today's Major League Baseball climate. I'm not. I wouldn't have went to $51 million if I am, and the Yankees didn't. If I'm the Steinbrenner family and the Yankees and their shareholders, he was never going to be the best player on this team for the foreseeable future for 4 to 5 more years, because that's still Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is still the face of your franchise, and how you give a guy that kind of money who's not the best player on your team. I understand it's front loaded and back loaded to make it all work, but right now he's not the best player on your team. So to have to give that kind of money to the guy who's not going to be putting the asses in the seats, it doesn't make much sense. You can market this guy a little bit right now, but Aaron Judge is still your guy, and Aaron Judge hit 50 home runs this year, so he's still the guy that you're going to market. He's still the captain. I know I'm not the biggest captain guy, but I don't understand. I don't see where you are thinking this is a good deal. I'm not seeing where you think this is a good deal baseball wise. He's a very good player. He's a B defender. He walks good. Like he takes a Soto shuffle every time he walks. He hits a ton, but you remember he hit with Aaron Judge right in front of him in the lineup or behind him in the lineup, depending on what day it was. Did he hit that home run against Cleveland to send the Yankees to the World Series? Yes. Did he have a very good season with the Yankees? Yes. Is he probably, his metrics and his stats are all aiming towards him being a Hall of Famer? Yes. He's 26 years old. Yes. So he does tick those boxes. But the defense scares me, and this isn't. I'm not being like when your team doesn't get the guy, you got to find some negatives. I understand that, but the thing is with this guy, I don't see his defense getting any better. I don't see his the way he is getting any better. He's got all the smiles. He does everything right. He says everything right until that was a very telling sign at the end of the World Series. I know I talked about it when the World Series ended, that when he couldn't pick the spot to say, you know what, now is not the time to talk about where I'm going in the off season. Now is not the time to talk about how this is all going to play out. Now is not the time to do this and that and everything else. He went out and said, everybody's on the table. Everybody has a chance. Everybody has the same opportunities to sign me when the free agency comes around. And so that was a very telling sign that he was going to the Mets no matter what. He wasn't going to stay with the Yankees and give the hometown discount per se. If he's going to give the hometown discount, he would have ended up back with the Nationals, and that wasn't going to happen. So it's very telling about this guy. And I understand that a lot of teams aren't going to be in the running, and we'll get into that in half a second. But the thing is with Soto, you got to think that there's something. This is his 4th team in 5 years or whatever it's going to be. And I understand that the way it works out and the way it plays off the way it plays off. And Jim Plotner, the very famous fan in the van, no sweat off my back. With this, honestly, is not worth half of what they gave him. Great bat, but defense subpar at best. Now Hallam, Bald Eagle, Cashman can spend this to fix his team correctly. Jim, I 100% agree, and we should do something maybe on the weekend and get talking about this whole thing. But I completely agree with you, Jim, that this deal, it was way too much money for what you were going to get. Your return on investment was not going to be good. And what is the return on investment? I listened to Jim's show the other day, and he was talking about what do they got to win 4 World Series to make this work. They got to win 4 World Series to have the payback, I guess, because $765 million, you gotta sell a lot of T-shirts, a lot of hot dogs to get that money back. And World Series do that. World Series can bring generational money, and you win a World Series, you get about a 5-year reprieve from your fan base, or if you're the Cubs, you get a 10-year reprieve from the fan base, and then the fans are going to start wanting a lot more. Yeah, the Mets, they ended up making the playoffs. They had a rough start to their season. Then they got hot, and then they backdoored into the playoffs. Ended up losing to the Dodgers in the NLCS, but they have a very good team, but they backdoored themselves in, and they got a lot of work to do to get to surpass the Dodgers, because the Dodgers are going to reload for a lot of years. The Dodgers are still your World Series champions, and does this one signing for one guy at $51 million, does that put them to the next echelon of teams in baseball? No. I don't think it does. I think he's a very good player. I think he's going to be like I would talk with Brian McKeon from Locked On yesterday, Locked On Yankees, and he said this guy's metrics are all saying he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But when do the injuries take over? He's 26 years old. Eventually, when you get to be 30, things start to break down a little bit. So you got a 4-year window in there, and the rest of the team as well, that you got to start doing something. And you have to start loading. Does Cone have the money to do this? Yes, he does. Can he go out there and keep spending and not worry about the luxury tax? Could this guy have a $500 million a year payroll? Yeah, he very well could. So this is a real eye opener for Major League Baseball, and it's a major problem for Major League Baseball because a lot of teams don't have that luxury. They a lot more do than they let on that they do, because you think about how much money gets spent on other things, how much money that these owners are making and not doing anything with the money that they have. But Cohen's a scary individual, and not in a like a nefarious kind of way, but he's a scary individual where he can go and do this. He can do this when he has the resource to do so, and it's to $51 million is nothing to this guy, and that's a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money because you got to fill up the rest of your team, and a lot of teams don't have that opportunity. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but the one team that kind of gets lost in this whole shuffle the last couple of years, and we'll get back to Soto in half a second, is the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, you think about the Blue Jays, we're in on Ohtani last year. Remember, it was about this time last year, the magical flight going across the country from Los Angeles to Toronto, and the Santa tracker was on, and NORAD was following this thing, and Ohtani was supposed to be on that flight. Turns out the whole story was fabricated, and the $700 million that they were said to have were out, and then they were in on the Soto deal right until the bitter end, apparently on over the weekend, and they bowed out. He was never going to Toronto. Like, let's not sugarcoat this. Soto was never going to Toronto. Boris used Toronto as a stepping stone to get to the $51 million here, to make him the highest paid ever. And Boris did his job. But you think about the Jays for a little bit. The Jays kind of got played for the last 2 years, and they offered $1.4 billion to a couple players who had basically no intentions of ever going there. So their fan base kind of got duped. So now what the Jays have to do is find a way to get the fan base excited again, because now at $1.4 billion that you offered other players that weren't part of your system, now you're going to have to probably overpay for Vladdy Guerrero Jr. to keep him interested, because he's a free agent at the end of this season. So that there's something happening in Toronto that they might not the fans there may not like, and the money they're going to have to pay Guerrero, because his camp, I don't know if he's a Boris guy or not, but his camp's going to say, listen, you're paying, you offered this much to this guy, you offered this much to this guy, we want this much no matter what, or else we're walking. And he may end up in Queens as well if the dollars are right, because they don't have a first baseman, Alonso. Who knows what could happen there? So that's a deal that could happen sooner rather than later if the Jays don't get off their hind legs and get something done. But back to Boris. Boris, I like when the Garrett Cole thing happened, when Cole basically did the same thing. He wore the Boris hat after the 2019 World Series, I think it was, with when the Astros ended up losing. And he was kind of a bit of a dick before he went. It's all about Boris, all about the client, and they find ways to get paid. And Boris says that's his job, is to get these guys paid. He tells these guys early and often, I'm going to make you the richest man in baseball. I'm going to make you the richest pitcher in baseball. I'm going to make you the most the most lucrative contract I can possibly get you. So he didn't lie. He didn't say anything wrong. And that's what he did. And he trains these guys early that when they get to free agency, because you only get really one, maybe two shots, and depending how your contracts come along, that you're going to get paid. And he did his job. How he goes about doing it and how his clients basically just say thanks, bye, see it to their fan base is really quite crappy. And I likened it yesterday when I was talking with Brian there, that Juan Soto was like dating a stripper. Like the way Soto treated the New York Yankee fan base, he treated them like he was a stripper, and the fan base was the guy with the big truck and the half full wallet and the white sunglasses walking the strip bar. And I thought she loved me. I thought she loved me. No, man, he didn't love you. Like, she didn't love you. Same thing as a stripper. She didn't love you. She liked your bank account, and that's it. She liked everything about you for right that moment, right then, right now. She liked that situation right then, right now. And it's really hard for a lot of fan base to take this. But I'm not. I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent. I'm just like, okay, I would rather have him on my team, but okay, he's gone. There it is. Move on. Go on to the next thing. And it's ridiculous to watch this whole thing and how it unfolded. If you don't want to be there, don't be there. Like, if you don't want to be a Yankee, don't be a Yankee. And that's what he did. And you have to build. And I hate saying that my wife is right when it comes to this, but you have to be a team, and you have to pull for each other. Yes, baseball, it's not really a team. It's a team sport based on individualistic skills. And to have a guy who just doesn't want to be there, not pulling in the right direction, that's pulling for himself no matter what, it's no skin off my back that Juan Soto left. You think about that 2017 team that was a lot of fun to watch, and still one of my favorite teams that didn't even over some of those World Series teams. That 2017 team had a bunch of homegrown guys who came up from the minors, and then they added some pieces here with the Todd Frazier's of the world, and the Chase Headleys and everything, and the way that team pulled together, and the thumbs down, the whole bit. And those guys were in it for each other, and they were trying to. And the little team that could, it was after the Jeter years, and on and on. And so I'm not upset that he's gone. Like, I'm not saying he's not a team guy. I don't know the guy for nothing. I'll never meet him, but it's his fourth team, and how many in 5 years. And he just, I'm all about me. I'm all about getting paid. I want to have my stats, and that's fine. I mean, he's making more money than the average podcaster. There's no getting around that. So at 51 million bucks, it's a hard look for baseball. It's a hard look for every other fan base. Mets fans are really happy right now, and they got the guy they wanted. But be very careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Is this the guy that's going to take you over the hump? Might be. It might be, but there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees, but I guarantee you that, like, there's other fan bases around the league that are like, geez, what are we going to do now? Because now you have a bunch of teams that are out of the running already. And we've talked about this a number of times over the show. Right now, they're having the winter meetings down in Florida. How many teams already are just saying, well, we're not playing for next year already? Like, we're already out. Yeah, we can grab a guy here and grab a guy there and fill this guy in if they're here, and fill this guy in there, and be a competitive team, and hopefully get past the wild card round to get a few home dates. But other than that, what are we playing for? Like, what are we doing here? The Yankees are still one of the best teams in baseball. The Dodgers have reloaded. They're one of the best teams going. They went out and signed Snell. And here's the thing. I liked that this thing finally is over. I like that they got, and I don't understand why it had to get the winter meetings. I know you're getting eyeballs on it, but if they didn't get the winter meetings, this thing would have been huge news anyways. It's not like it would have got caught in the abyss. They could have had this thing the day after Election Day down in the States, and they could have said, yeah, I'm going here. Put the Yankees and the Mets in one. Yeah, this what they should have done the day after the election, because people had election fatigue. They didn't want to hear it anymore. Put the Yankees and the Mets in one room, and just have an auction. Just keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. Okay, yeah, and if another team wanted to come in on the bidding sweepstakes, because you wouldn't have had the Pirates, you wouldn't have had the A's, you wouldn't have had the Marlins, you wouldn't have had the Rays, and you wouldn't have had who else? Tons of teams. So you would have had 5 teams. You would have had 5 teams maximum sitting in a room, and then you just start bidding. How much a year? Put up your paddle. Put up your paddle. Put up your paddle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when it gets down to the final 3, when it gets to your final 3, what you do is after you say, okay, I'm going to give 45 million, then you get 40 minutes to sit in the room to say, okay, we're going to promise you this. You're going to have a luxury suite. You're going to have this for whatever. You're going to have the Juan Soto Foundation. You're going to have this. Don't drag this thing on until freaking was it the 8th it was done. So they got the winter meetings. Do it. Jonathan, I gave him money, love, and joy to Juan Soto, and he broke your heart. Life goes on, man. Like it's one of those things. It's a lot of money. He wasn't going to say no, and this is where he was always going. This is where he was always going. He was never going to take any less money. He's going to go to the highest bidder no matter what, and the highest bidder was always going to be the Mets. You knew this was going to happen. But we'll get back to my proposal, how this thing should have played out. It didn't have to get to this point. Put him in an auction room, and then they get 45 minutes with the client to say, we can offer you this. And then they go back out. And if somebody says, okay, 45, okay, I'll go 46. Then they get 45 minutes to say this. This whole process could have been done in 2 days. 2 days. It didn't have to last this long. It didn't have to do. It didn't have to be this long at all. It was going to be the Mets no matter what. Like no matter what, it was going to be the Mets. You could say there's reports about somebody saying that there was some ushers or something that upset his family. Whatever. If you're that soft, see you later. And then the discussion about the luxury suite. Judge didn't get one, and neither did Jeter. You aren't either, Soto. You aren't either. Screw you. If that's what it came down to, you prima donna, good. Bye. Be a team guy. It's not about you, man. It isn't. It's about the greater good. You've already got one World Series with the Nationals that nobody remembers, and then your stats are up there. You're on the trajectory to be a Hall of Famer. There's no getting around that. He's a great player. He's very good. But that's just for me. It's just too much money. It's too much money for that. Hal did a great job, but Soto left almost identical deal to the Mets, and that's exactly it. This isn't on Cashman. This isn't on Hal. This isn't on them at all. This guy was going to. It could have been $51 million and 2. Whoever gave that extra money, that's where he's going. And Cohen has more money. Cohen just has more money. He has $14 billion cash in the bank. Done. That's where he was going. He was always going to the Mets. He wasn't going to anywhere else. Any team that thought they were in on this, the Red Sox were never getting him. That was all being used to just go up and just go on. That's all it was. That's all it was. He was going to the highest bidder, and Boris used the Jays, Boston, and the Dodgers as leverage just to boost up that price. He was going to Cohen no matter what. No matter what. Soto's a stripper, man. Soto's a stripper. The guy with the biggest roll of dollar bills in the front row, that's where the stripper goes to. That's it. And that's all it is. That's how it all works out. He was going to the person with the most money, and that was the Mets. You can't blame him. I don't blame him. Congratulations, you got the job done. He was never going anywhere else but the Mets. It's a waste of time, and I Cashman, Soto, Hal don't care how anyone feels. Sports, the business, players are the investment, like stocks. And Mets paid all the money, better get a big return. It was all a waste. And that's just it, Jim. You got to get 4 World Series, like you said, in 15 years. And those 4 better come in the first 10. Because that last 5 years of the contracts, those never turn out. Those never turn out. Nothing. They tried. The Yankees gave it a good shot. They gave it a good shot last year. They were all in by getting players with that trade with the Padres. They thought they could maybe sign him, but the X factor in this whole thing, is Cohen with the Mets. That's what it is. It had nothing to do with anything else. Nothing to do. If there was a team, if the Colorado Rockies, if the Arizona Diamondbacks, if the Seattle Mariners, Who else? If somehow the Kansas City Royals, the Pittsburgh Pirates, if somehow they went into their tickle trunk of money and said, we're going to give this guy $100 million a year, no questions asked. We don't care about anything else but having Juan Soto on our team and a bunch of plugs. We'll put a bunch of plugs on this team, but if we give Soto $100 million a year, I know that didn't happen. 80, set 90, 100. If a horrible team, came up and said, we're going to give you $100 million a year, that's where he was going. It had nothing to do with team, franchise, farm system, anything. It had nothing to do with who could win. He was going to the highest bidder no matter what. He's a stripper looking for the biggest roll of dollars or the biggest roll of loonies on Sniffer's Row. That's it. That's where he was going. So all this other stuff is just semantics and BS. All these talking heads on TV, they're FOS. I still haven't sworn at 14:20 in the morning here at 7:08 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And that's what it is. For all these blaming this and this, it had nothing to do with anything. It's nothing to do with anything. He was going to the highest bidder. Roll in and say 60 million. That's where it probably it should have started at 50. It should have started at 50. We have $40 million players. It should have, like the league has $40 million players. It should have started at 50. And who wants to go higher? Sit in the auction house and say 50. Yeah. Everybody else leaves. That's all it was. That's all it was. It wasn't going to change. And it's scary for baseball, but that's the way it's going. Is there going to be another guy like you think about this 25 years ago is where the A-Rod thing happened. Could have been more. Who knows? 25 million plus, right? For 10 years. We're thinking, holy Christ, this is insane. Oh, that's nothing. 25 million is nothing. They're giving people that nothing. Pocket change. Now we got 50 million, a $50 million player. 50. And it's he's not even the best player in the game right now. He's not. Like I don't like. I don't know. Like you put it in perspective. Like Connor McDavid. I know hockey's on a different pay scale, just the way not the games and TV rights and on it goes. But you think that Connor McDavid? I think he makes 12 million or 12.5 a year. I can't remember what it is. This guy, let's say he's making 13. Let's say he's making 13 to make it easy on my math in the morning. Are you telling me that Juan Soto is worth it's worth 4 times the amount that Connor McDavid is? Put that in perspective. 4 times. This is a huge overpay. Huge. A guy bats once, 5 times a night, walks twice, gets a single. His on-base percentage is 400. OPS is whatever. Like it's a huge overpay. Is his WAR whatever going? Maybe. But if he doesn't get on base, has no one hitting behind him or in front of him, then what? He had that with the Yankees with Judge. Now he doesn't. I don't know. 765.51. I don't know. That's a lot of dough. That's a lot of dough with no guarantees, but that's what sports is. And that's why you're going to watch. And it's too bad it always gets to this point, but that money has to become the root of all evil with professional sports. But it's man, that's an overpay. That might be if I'm still doing this 50, well, I hope I'm not still doing this 15 years from now, but when this deal's over, I'll only be 65, I guess. It's I don't know. It's an overpay, and 15 years from now, when you look back and like it better be 4. It better be 4 World Series, not 4. It better be 4 and 10, like the Yankees got. Or 4 and 14, whatever it was finally was. It's insane. It's Jimmy Plotner's got one more for the fans. People need to realize Hal made an offer he wasn't going to go past. That was as good as the offer Hal ain't George. I've said it for years. When George died, the evil empire died. Hard truth. Yeah, it's just different. Things are different now. If the Yankees got him, I would have been talking the same thing. Like, holy cow, that's a lot of money. What are you going to do with the rest? Like, how do you fill in the rest of the spots? Like, you still got to get a second baseman, third baseman. Is Jazz Chisholm going to be your third baseman? I hope not. Do you bring Torres back? Who's playing right field or left field? Sorry, who's playing right field? Like who's all these spots? And if they did sign him, but now they have some financial flexibility to go out and sign some other players. I don't know. I think it's a blessing for the Yankees. I really do. Like I hope for Mets fans he can do something good out there. I'm not thinking anything but bad for them to happen. But man, oh man, this is it's a huge overpay. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it took too long and too many. Like you think about just there was reports and that Snell, the Fried's better than Snell, but Snell's younger. But the Snell deal, because he went to the Dodgers, the Yankees couldn't commit that kind of money because Snell they were waiting on Soto, right? So all these different steps that had to happen. It's it's an overpay. Like and it's bad for baseball. He was going to get it no matter what. It's bad for baseball. It's good for the Yankees. It's good for the Mets, I guess. But it's bad luck for baseball. And baseball's got to do something about this. There has to be some kind of a cap system. Players are never going to allow it. It's something. It's something. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how shit all plays out. But it's that's the way it is. Anyways, I got to I get all showered up and go to my day job over at Spitz Stadium, home of the Leopards Bulls, and take care of some stuff. We have some very good initiatives coming on that we worked on over the last few days. It's actually kind of neat, but that's it. Anyways, Jim, I'll get your stuff. I'll put it in a box today and get your stuff to you sent away and put on the Pure later. Should be there before Christmas, hopefully, the way that all works out. But 14-20 tomorrow, a lot of fun. Good talk today. Bullhorn tonight, 14-20 tomorrow night. Start doing a lot more stuff. Everything can kind of schedule. I know I've been saying for a while, but I've been putting a lot more content. And once again to Aaron from Brutally Honest Sports, really sorry for what happened yesterday. I don't know where that audio went, but we had a very good talk yesterday about this exact same thing. But it was a great conversation. That's it. The Soto conversation's over. So now baseball fans can move on to the fun stuff: balls and strikes and outs and safes and home runs, and not dollars and cents. Because I tell you what, dollars and cents don't make no sense when it comes to that kind of money. Anyways, 14-20 in the morning, four coffees worth of sports talk to get your day started right. And remember, everybody, it doesn't matter where you are, it's who you're with, and we will talk to you guys all tomorrow morning. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. 4 beer with the sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.